Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we will discuss about another medical prefixes that we use in order to showcase something as direction or position. Okay, so mainly we are going to discuss about a few more medical terminology prefixes that denote direction and position. Okay, so how we are going to proceed with this session? First of all, I will tell you the prefixes and their meaning, and then later we will also cover few examples for the same, because without example it would be not that much of easier for you to identify the terminology. Okay, so before we start, let me tell you about the short definition of prefix. So prefix is something that is attached at the beginning of the medical terminology, and that word which we have attached at the initial indicates something. Okay, so whenever we any word is indicating any information through the prefix, then information through the word that is attached at the initial, then it is known as prefix. Okay, so let's directly jump to the main prefix. So today we have one prefix as post. Now what is post prefix? Post prefix is mainly used in order to showcase two things. One is behind or after. Sometimes we use post prefix in order to showcase something as behind, and sometimes we use the post prefix in order to showcase something as after. It depends on the situation. Okay, and in case of medical terminology, there are many alternatives things. Okay, so we have to take care of, and we have to understand each and every alternative name as well, so that as per the terminology we can easily identify which for which purpose this prefix has been used here. So let's see few example. So first example is post-operative. Now what is post-operative? Post-operative means after a surgical operation. So here you can see the post prefix is used to produce a sound of after. Okay, so you can see after a surgical operation. Similarly, we have another example which is post-mortem. Post-mortem means after death, an examination of a study or study conducted after death, commonly known as autopsy. Okay, so this is the most commonly heard term, you can say, because we oftenly see these kind of in terminologies in newspaper and news, right? Postmortem, so it is related to after death. So again, post is used in order to showcase something as after. Then we have another prefix which is just opposite of postmortem, which is postnatal. Now what is postnatal? Postnatal means relating to the period after birth. Okay, so when you want to showcase something as a period after birth, then in that case we will use the terminology postnatal, where the prefix is post. Fine, so these are the prefixes that we use in order to showcase something as after. Now we have one more example which is posterior. Now what is posterior? Posterior means something is behind. That means located at the back or behind of a structure. For example, you can take as posterior teeth. So that means teeth located at the back or behind. Okay, so by these examples, I think it is clear like how to use the post prefix and what all information is provided by the post prefix. So here you can see first one is the post first use of post prefixes to showcase something as behind, and second use of post prefixes to showcase something as after. Okay, so we have covered example for both. Then we have another prefix as pre. Now pre is just a opposite of post prefix. If you compare it, in post we are showcasing something as behind, so here we are showcasing something as in front. Here post, for post we are using it to showcase something as after, and here we are showcasing a before. So this is the only difference between post and pre prefix. Okay, so let's see few example here. The first example is prenatal. Now what is prenatal? It is before a birth. So you can say, and a period that comes before the birth is known as prenatal. Okay. Similarly, we have preoperative. So preoperative means before a surgical operation. So let's say if there is any precautions prescribed by the doctor, that the patient has to follow few things before the surgical operation. So in that case, doctor will use the terminology preoperative. Similarly, if a few medication is provided by the doctor after the operation, surgical operation, then in that case the doctor can use the terminology post-operative, because post-operative medication. So you can easily identify, yes, it is used in order to showcase something as after, because we are using post. And in case of pre, the doctor can write pre-operative precautions. That's why you can see even the precaution is started with the pre, before. Okay, fine. Then we have another example as pre-hypertension. Now what is pre-hypertension? Pre-hypertension is a situation where a blood pressure level that is higher than a normal but not yet classified as a hypertension. So patient is suffering from the high blood pressure, but it is not that much of higher that we classified it as a hypertension. So you can see it is something related to before, like patient has not reached at that particular level, so it is just before of it. So that's why we are using the prefix pre-hypertension, where pre is indicating before. Likewise, we have pre-diabetes. Now what is pre-diabetes? Pre-diabetes means a condition in which blood sugar level are elevated, like blood sugar level are high, still it is indicating uh, the risk of developing diabetes. Okay, it is not actually a diabetes, but the patient, he or she might face, or he or she might develop a diabetes. Okay, their body might develop the diabetes. So in that case, if diabetes has been developed, then we will use the diabetes terminology. Otherwise we will use the terminology as pre-diabetes, because the condition is not that much higher that it is considered as a diabetes. So this is the main purpose of prefix, which is used to showcase something else before. Similarly, like if you, there is no example for in front, like you might find it later, because there are many examples available on the internet. But if I talk about the pre in terms of in front, so you can say posterior teeth, or anything which is in front. Like if you want to showcase something as a front, then you can use it pre. Okay. So far we have covered two prefix, which is post, which is used for behind, used to showcase something as behind and after. Then we have pre, which is used to showcase something as before or in front. Okay. Then we have last a prefix for today is retro. Now what is retro? Retro means something is backward or behind. Now there might be one question, like we have already discussed about a few prefixes that showcase something is behind. So yes, it is true, but in medical terminology or in medical science, there are many terms which is used as an alternative. So we have to learn all the alternative names as well. Okay. So here you can see retro is again used to showcase something as backward or behind. Now you can check the few examples here. The first example is retrobulbar. Retrobulbar means behind the eyeball. So when we want to showcase something as behind the eyeball, then in that case we will use the retrobulbar terminology, where the retro is a prefix. Similarly, if you want to showcase something as a retroversion, that means the tipping or turning backward of an organ or a part. So if any part is turned backward of the organ, then in that case we will use the retroversion prefix terminology, which comes with a retro prefix. Likewise, we have retromolar. Retromolar means behind the molar teeth. So again, this is also a medical terminology which is used by the doctors, dentist. So if something is behind the molar of teeth, behind the molar teeth, then they can use the terminology retromolar, and which comes with a prefix retro. Likewise, we have another example, retrograde. That means moving backward or against the usual direction. So if you want to showcase something as a against the direction or against the direction or backward in backward direction, then you will use the terminology retrograde, which comes with the prefix retro. Okay, so yeah, these are the all prefix which I wanted to share with you all in today's sessions. In the next session we will discuss another thing, and for today, like, we have one question: what information is provided by the prefix para and peri? So this thing we have already covered in previous sessions, so I request you to put the answer for this question in comment section so that others can take a reference from it. And if you have any issues in this, then you can check out the complete playlist, because we have already covered all of these topics, and I'm asking only about those questions which is already discussed. So if there is any issue, you can check them out. So yeah, that's all for today. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.